My name is Morgan Hayes, and I'm 31 years old. Right now, as I'm typing this, my dog is snoring at my feet, his crooked tail twitching against the hardwood like he's chasing something in his sleep. He smells faintly like oatmeal shampoo and peanut butter treats. His name is Buster. 3 weeks ago, my boyfriend decided that Buster didn't fit our brand. 3 weeks ago, he tried to erase 8 years of my life with one selfish decision and a curated caption. I'm a software engineer. I write code, not confessions. I post on Instagram maybe twice a year, usually a blurry hike photo or my mom's birthday cake. But my friends are tired of hearing this story, and my group chat has officially voted that I need neutral internet strangers to tell me if I went too far. So here I am. I met Mason 2 years ago at a friend's engagement party. He was 27 then, all sharp jawline and perfect lighting, the kind of guy who knew where every camera in the room was without ever seeming to look. He worked in digital marketing and did content on the side, which I would later learn was code for being a lifestyle influencer with about 45,000 followers. He had that soft, practiced charisma people get when they've spent years talking to a ring light. He made everyone feel like the main character for 30 seconds at a time. And somehow I fell for it. I should start with Buster, though. I found him 8 years ago behind a grocery store, wedged between a dumpster and a broken pallet, shaking so hard his whole body vibrated. He was maybe 6 months old, some kind of pit mix with one ear half missing, and a tail that looked like someone had slammed a door on it and never bothered to set it properly. He wouldn't come near anyone. It took hot dogs, patience, and 3 weeks of daily visits before he'd let me touch him. Now he's 65 pounds of pure devotion. He follows me from room to room like a furry shadow, sleeps on my bed, breathes louder than any living creature should, sheds on everything I own. By Instagram standards, he's not cute. His ear is jagged, his tail is crooked, his muzzle is going gray. By my standards, he's family. When Mason and I started dating, Buster was part of the deal. I told him that on our third date, half joking, half dead serious. "If you don't like my dog, this isn't going anywhere," I said. Mason laughed, kissed me, and said, "I love dogs. They're great for engagement, honestly." I should have noticed the word he chose. A year ago, Mason moved into my apartment. My name on the lease, my credit check, my savings. He brought 2 suitcases, a ring light, a box of neutral-toned mugs that all looked identical, and a gaming console. I brought everything else. The furniture, the linens, the pantry, the emergency fund, and Buster. At first, Mason tolerated him. He even posted some dog mom style content with me in the background, all soft filters and captions about new beginnings. Buster, confused but trusting, would sit there while Mason tried to angle him so his missing ear didn't show. It didn't take long for the complaints to start. "Do you think we could keep him off the couch? The hair is messing with the aesthetic in my living room shots. He'd be so much cuter if we took him to one of those fancy groomers. Can they fix his ear? Or at least hide it somehow? He keeps photobombing my reels. It looks unprofessional." I'd roll my eyes, ruffle Buster's fur, and say, "He lives here. Your followers don't. They'll survive." Mason would smile, but there was always this tiny, irritated twitch around his mouth when Buster jumped up or knocked over a carefully arranged throw pillow. 2 months ago, Mason took me to dinner at a rooftop restaurant with string lights and a sunset that looked like it had been ordered off a mood board. I should have guessed. Halfway through dessert, he got down on one knee and the entire patio turned to watch. He held out a ring, simple gold band, small sapphire, and my stomach dropped for a different reason. It was my grandmother's ring. My mom had given it to me years earlier, wrapped in tissue paper with a tremble in her voice. "For when you find someone who deserves you," she'd said. The ring meant history, security, family. Every hand that had worn it before mine had done so with intention. I said yes. I said yes because in that moment, with strangers applauding and a phone held discreetly at the edge of the table to capture the shot, it felt easier than thinking about what that ring really meant. I slipped it on my finger, told myself that loving someone meant compromise, and ignored the way Mason angled the ring toward the sunset for the perfect video. He posted the proposal before we even got home. The caption was something like, "She said yes to forever. #blessed. Buster wasn't in a single frame. 3 weeks ago, I flew out for a 3-day work trip. Nothing glamorous, just a client site that smelled like old coffee and recycled air. I missed Buster the entire time. I FaceTimed him twice. Yes, I know he can't see me properly. No, I don't care. On the third day, my meetings ended early. I grabbed an earlier flight, fantasizing about coming home, taking off my shoes, and collapsing on the couch with Buster's head in my lap, while Mason pretended not to be jealous of how much I loved my dog. I opened the front door, suitcase in hand. Silence. No claws clicking against the floor, no thunder of paws, no cold nose slamming into my thigh. Just quiet. Buster? My voice echoed weirdly in the apartment. Nothing. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. My brain went cold and hot at the same time. Mason, I called. He was on the couch, laptop open to a grid of pastel photos, editing. He didn't even look surprised to see me. Oh, hey, you're back early, he said, fingers still moving on the trackpad. Where's Buster? I asked. Mason smiled, this tight, satisfied little expression I'd never seen on his face before. I took care of the Buster situation. The Buster situation. For a second, I thought I'd misheard him. What does that mean? He finally turned to look at me, like he was waiting for applause. I rehomed him. Found a nice family in the suburbs. Kids, yard, the whole thing. Honestly, he'll be happier there. My suitcase dropped from my hand. The sound made him flinch. You what? Don't be dramatic, Morgan. We've talked about this. He doesn't fit our lifestyle. I'm trying to build something here. Having this scraggly, half-broken dog in the background of all my content, it's not on brand. And we're getting married soon, probably having kids. It was time. I stared at him. My heartbeat was so loud I could barely hear my own voice. We have never talked about getting rid of Buster. Mason rolled his eyes. You're twisting my words. I told you he was holding us back. Where is my dog? Each word scraped out of my throat. I told you, with a family. I handled it through a rehoming group on Facebook. Very professional. They've probably already bonded with him. You can't just take him back. That's cruel. The room tilted. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and pulled all the air out. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't cry. I turned around, walked out, and sat in my car. Then I called Derek. Derek is one of my closest friends. He's also a lawyer, which suddenly mattered more than anything else. If someone gives away your dog without your permission, I said, my voice shaking, is that theft? He didn't even hesitate. Yes, pets are property. If Buster's registered in your name, vet records in your name, and you had him before Mason, he had no legal right to give him away. Morgan, what happened? I told him in clipped, shaky sentences. He cursed under his breath. Document everything. Screenshots, messages. If you can find the rehoming group, start there. And Morgan, get him back. The next 12 hours blurred into adrenaline. I found the rehoming group Mason had mentioned. I posted Buster's photo with a caption that started with, "My dog was given away without my permission. Please help." Within an hour, I got a message. "Hi, I think we have your dog." A woman explained that a friend had dropped him off 3 days earlier, said she was his owner and couldn't keep him anymore. But Buster had been depressed, barely eating, pacing the door like he was waiting for someone who wasn't coming back. When they scanned his microchip, the information didn't match the name or number she'd given. My name was on the chip, my number. 8 years of vet records backed it up. Mason hadn't known about the microchip. Buster had never run off, never needed it scanned. He'd assumed this was just easy. It wasn't. I drove to the family's house that night. They were kind, tired-looking people with 2 kids hugging each other in the doorway and a dog bed in the living room that already had Buster's hair on it. When he saw me, he launched himself across the room so fast he slipped on the tile. He crashed into my legs, whining, licking my hands, making these guttural little sounds I'd never heard before. I cried into his fur, ugly, shaking sobs. The dad pulled me aside. Look, the woman who dropped him off, she was strange. Kept talking about how he wasn't photogenic enough for her feed. We felt bad for him. It's obvious he's your dog. They let me take him home. I pressed $500 into their hands for food, vet checks, and the effort they'd put in these 3 awful days. They tried to refuse. I insisted. When we finally got back to my apartment, it was 2 a.m. Mason was asleep. Buster climbed onto my bed like he'd never left. He curled into my side, pressed his entire weight against me, and didn't move. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling his heartbeat against my ribs. Everything in that apartment was in my name. The lease, the utilities, even Mason's car insurance was on my policies because it saved us money. It hit me all at once. I didn't have to be the one to leave. Slowly, carefully, I got out of bed, trying not to wake Buster. I went to the closet and started pulling Mason's clothes off hangers, folded them, placed them in boxes, his ring light, his tripods, his stack of curated coffee table books he'd never actually read. By sunrise, his life was in cardboard at the front door. Buster was on the bed, watching me with one ear perked. Mason stumbled out of the bedroom, rubbing his eyes. He stopped when he saw the boxes. Then he saw Buster lying comfortably on my pillows. "What is this?" he snapped. "Why is my stuff packed? And why is that dog here?" I met his eyes, feeling something inside me harden into place. "This," I said calmly, "is your exit. You gave away my dog. You don't live here anymore." He laughed, disbelieving. "Morgan, be serious. This is our home." "No," I said. "This is my apartment. My name on everything. You're a guest who stole my family and lied about it." His gaze dropped to my left hand, to the sapphire catching the morning light. "We're engaged," he said. "You can't just throw me out." "About that." I held up my hand, the ring glinting between us. "I'd like my grandmother's ring back now." He froze. Then he laughed. That brittle, incredulous laugh people use when they've been caught but still think they can talk their way out. "Your ring?" he said. "You gave it to me as part of a marriage agreement. That's mine now." "No, Mason," I said, keeping my voice steady. "In this state, an engagement ring is a conditional gift. The condition is marriage. There's no marriage. It goes back. Especially since it's a family heirloom." His expression shifted. Confusion, then irritation, then something uglier. "Unbelievable. You're really going to destroy everything we built because of that mutt?" I folded my arms. "You destroyed it the moment you decided my dog didn't match your color palette." For a moment, neither of us moved. The morning light crept across the boxes by the door, highlighting his carefully folded sweaters, his ring light, his curated life in neat, fragile piles. He gestured toward Buster, who was watching him from the bed, tail flicking once like a warning. "You got him back. What's the big deal?" "The big deal," I said quietly, "is that you gave away my family member because he wasn't on brand for your Instagram. You don't get to call that love." He clenched his jaw. "You're insane." "No," I said. "I'm done." He lunged forward, grabbed the ring box off the dresser, the one I'd kept as a keepsake, and tossed it at me like a dare. "Here, take it. Maybe you can pawn it and buy that dog a therapist." The ring clinked off the floor, rolled under the bed. Buster growled, a deep, low rumble that vibrated through the room. "Out," I said, "now." "You can't kick me out. I have rights. I've lived here almost a year." "Not on paper. Not a single bill. Not a single lease. Not a single account. You're a guest, and you've overstayed your welcome." He stared at me, eyes darting like he was trying to find a camera angle that could make him look like the victim. "This isn't over," he said finally. "You'll regret this." Then he shoved his way past the boxes, slammed the door behind him, and left. The silence that followed felt like an exhale after holding my breath for months. I sank down beside the bed, one hand in Buster's fur, the other clutching the ring. "We're okay," I whispered. "We're really okay." He licked my hand, sighed, and went back to sleep like he'd been waiting for peace to return. Update 1. 5 days later. I didn't expect this story to go anywhere, but after everything that happened, I needed to write it down. So here it is. Mason woke up the next morning to find his things by the door and Buster curled up on the bed, watching him like a security guard. I wish I'd filmed his face, the confusion melting into anger, then disbelief. "What is this?" he asked again. "Your exit," I repeated. He started pacing, ranting about how I was throwing away our future. "We were supposed to be a team. You can't just erase me." "You rehomed my dog without permission," I said. "You did erase me. You just didn't expect me to notice." He went silent, then looked at me with that practiced, pitying expression influencers reserve for their heartfelt apology posts. "You're being emotional, Morgan. I was trying to help us. Buster was holding you back." I pulled out my phone, hit record. "Say that again." He blinked. "What are you doing?" "Say it again," I repeated. He hesitated, then sneered. "Fine. I gave away your ugly rescue dog because he was ruining our aesthetic. You're welcome." Click. Video saved. That night, he posted on Instagram. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. A photo of him sitting on the couch we used to share, captioned, "Sometimes love means letting go. Hardest week of my life. Please respect my privacy." I laughed out loud. Privacy? From the man who filmed our proposal twice because the lighting was better the second time? The comments flooded in. "Stay strong, King." "She doesn't deserve you." "You can't keep someone who doesn't match your vibe." I should have closed the app right there. Instead, I scrolled. He'd told everyone that I abandoned him, that I'd kicked him out over a misunderstanding, that I'd stolen his ring. I stared at the ring box on my nightstand, my grandmother's sapphire glinting in the low light, and felt something deep inside me click into place. 2 hours later, I got a knock on my door. Animal control. My heart dropped. Ms. Hayes, the officer asked, we received a report of possible neglect and abuse of an animal registered at this address. My throat closed. What? He nodded politely. Can we see proof of ownership? I opened the drawer, pulled out everything. 8 years of vet records, vaccination certificates, the microchip paperwork, even a recent grooming receipt. Buster wagged his tail at the officer, pressed his head against his leg like a bribe. The man chuckled softly. Ma'am, I don't see any signs of neglect. This dog looks like he's living his best life. I showed him the video of Mason admitting he'd given Buster away for aesthetic reasons. The officer's smile vanished. Filing a false report is a criminal offense, he said carefully. Would you like to pursue charges? I thought about it, about how small and ugly this had all become, about how much Mason thrived on attention. Not yet, I said. Just document it. He nodded. We'll handle it. When I closed the door, Buster pressed his nose into my thigh like he could feel my pulse still racing. I sank onto the floor again, hands shaking. He's trying to rewrite everything, I whispered. He's trying to make me the villain. And somewhere deep down I realized this wasn't about the dog anymore. This was about control. The next morning, Derek called. Got your message, he said. Do you still have the video? Yes. Good. Keep it. He's already broken a few laws. Theft, false reporting. If he keeps escalating, we'll go nuclear. Nuclear, I echoed. He hesitated, then said, let's just say, if he wants a war, we'll give him one he can't curate into content. I didn't know what that meant yet, but I was about to find out. When Derek said nuclear, I didn't realize he meant total annihilation. I thought maybe he'd file a quiet legal notice or send a stern email. I didn't expect it to end up like this. Messy, viral, and strangely poetic. But first, the build-up. Mason didn't take the quiet route. Of course he didn't. He doubled down online. His posts got angrier, longer, more theatrical. He said I'd stolen his dog, assaulted him, and robbed him of his family heirloom worth $15,000. That last part made me snort so hard I spilled coffee on myself. The ring wasn't worth even $2,000, and it had been in my family for 3 generations. He made a GoFundMe, help a broken man rebuild after theft and heartbreak, and started begging for donations. People actually sent him money. Then came the pièce de résistance, a teary selfie captioned, my emotional support animal was taken from me by someone I trusted. I can't sleep. Please pray for me and Buster. I stared at the screen, jaw slack. The man who called my dog ugly and unmarketable had now recast him as a certified ESA, emotional support animal, for sympathy clicks. Derek was right. It was time. He came over that night, laptop under his arm, eyes glinting like a general before battle. Okay, he said, setting up at my kitchen table. Here's the plan. You want quiet revenge or poetic justice? I leaned against the counter. What's the difference? He grinned. Quiet revenge happens in court. Poetic justice happens on the internet. I didn't even have to answer. He already knew. We started gathering evidence. Screenshots of Mason admitting to giving away Buster. Messages from the family who took him, saying Mason lied about being the owner. The video of him saying Buster ruined his aesthetic. The animal control report documenting the false claim. Screenshots of the fundraiser and his ESA caption. It was a digital scrapbook of hypocrisy. Now, Derek said, typing fast, let's report him to the platforms. Fraudulent fundraising violates federal law. Wire fraud, technically. It's not worth pressing charges, but Venmo and GoFundMe have strict rules, and since he's using your property in his posts... My apartment photos, I realized. Exactly, DMCA takedown time. He looked positively gleeful. Meanwhile, the universe decided to add a little cinematic timing of its own. The woman from the family who had temporarily fostered Buster, her name was Erin, saw Mason's latest post. And she snapped. She went straight into his comments. This is the same man who dropped off this dog at my house 3 weeks ago, saying he wasn't photogenic enough for his lifestyle brand. The dog cried for days and refused to eat. The microchip was registered to Morgan Hayes, not him. He lied. He's a fraud. She attached screenshots of their text exchange, where Mason literally said, he's too ugly for my feed. You'll probably make him happier anyway. It spread like wildfire. Mason deleted her comments, but people had already screenshotted them. The screenshots spread across Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit faster than his ring light could spin. By the next morning, his heartfelt story had become a meme. A too ugly for the feed was trending. By the time the platforms reviewed Derek's reports, it was already over. Both his Venmo and GoFundMe were frozen for fraudulent fundraising. His Instagram and TikTok accounts were suspended pending verification. He lost every income stream in less than 48 hours. The meltdown was cinematic. He tried calling from different numbers. "You're ruining my career, Morgan. That content took years to build. I'm going to be homeless because of you." Blocked. Then he showed up outside my apartment building, screaming about his stolen life. Security wouldn't let him in. They all knew Buster and adored him. One of them called the cops. I watched from my window as Mason tried to film himself for a statement video, police lights flashing behind him. He even tried to look sad through the reflection. It would have been funny if it hadn't been so pathetic. Then came the cherry on top, his mother, Patricia. She started calling my office over and over. My boss, Jennifer, pulled me aside after the third call. "Who's Patricia?" I told her everything. Jennifer has 3 rescue dogs and a low tolerance for nonsense. By that afternoon, our company's legal department had sent Patricia a cease and desist letter for harassment. Derek called it corporate feminism in action. But Mason wasn't done trying to claw back attention. He hired, or pretended to hire, a lawyer. The letter arrived 2 days later. It was written in Comic Sans. No, I'm not kidding. It accused me of stealing his engagement ring, deleting his online income, inflicting emotional distress valued at $10,000, and, my personal favorite, refusing to allow visitation rights with the dog. Derek laughed so hard he had to put the phone down. He drafted a response that could have been printed on silk and framed. "Your client committed theft of a registered animal, filed a false police report, and solicited money under fraudulent pretenses. If he contacts Ms. Hayes again, we will pursue both civil and criminal action." He CC'd Mason's lawyer and the State Bar Association just for flair. Silence. For the first time in months, silence. I found out through a mutual friend that Mason moved back in with his parents. Apparently, he lost most of his followers when the screenshots surfaced. He tried to rebrand as a wellness coach for men recovering from toxic relationships, but no one bought it. Patricia started listing condos for sale on Facebook. One of them had a suspiciously familiar rug in the photos, the one Mason used to shoot flat lays on. I guess the brand really did stay in the family. The funny thing is, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean, like all the noise had finally stopped. That night, I lay on the couch, Buster's head heavy on my stomach, the quiet hum of the fridge the only sound in the room. No ring light, no curated decor, just real, messy, human peace. I ran my fingers through his fur and whispered, "You're safe now." He sighed, the kind of deep sigh that means home. And for the first time in months, I fell asleep without checking my phone. It's strange how quickly chaos fades once you stop feeding it. It's been a month since Mason's last attempt to contact me. A clumsy email from a new address titled, "We Need Closure." I didn't open it. I forwarded it straight to Derek, who replied on my behalf with a single line. "Do not contact my client again." That was the end, or at least the end of the noise. The legal fallout was quieter than I expected. Mason's lawyer, who, it turned out, was just his mom's real estate friend, folded almost immediately once Derek sent over the evidence. Theft of a registered pet, false report to animal control, fraudulent fundraising, DMCA violations for using my property in his content. They sent back a letter that could have been copied straight from a PR apology template. My client regrets the misunderstanding and wishes to move forward amicably. No signature from Mason himself. Just typed initials at the bottom, like he couldn't even bring himself to hold a pen. Derek told me not to respond. "Silence is closure," he said. "Let him drown in it." So I did. But the internet wasn't done with him yet. After his accounts were suspended, Mason tried one last desperate move. He claimed I'd revenge porned him. Yes, those were his exact words, by sharing a video of him admitting to giving away Buster. Except in the video, he was fully clothed, in my living room, casually committing theft on camera. Instagram's response was swift and merciless. Not only did they reject his report, they permanently banned his main account for repeated false claims and fraudulent activity. Every post, every brand deal, every photo of him posing in my kitchen with my furniture, gone. Years of curated perfection, erased in seconds. He tried starting new accounts under different names, but the internet remembered. Screenshots lived forever. Each comeback attempt was drowned by comments quoting his own words. "He's too ugly for my feed." It became the unofficial epitaph of his career. Patricia tried to fight back in her own way. She started a Facebook group called Pet Custody Rights for Unmarried Couples. It got maybe 50 members before someone found my post, the one with the screenshots, the video, the animal control report. and shared it there. Within hours, the group imploded. Every comment turned against her. She deleted the group, her account, everything. For the first time, their world went completely quiet. And then, something unexpected happened. I got a message from a woman named Chloe. She'd dated Mason 2 years before I met him. "I saw your post," she wrote. "I'm so sorry you went through that. He did the same thing to me." We met for coffee. She brought her cat, an elderly, one-eyed tabby named Pumpkin. Over oat lattes and a shared cinnamon roll, she told me everything. Mason had tried to rehome Pumpkin because, in his words, a blind cat in photos makes people uncomfortable. He'd wanted to redecorate her apartment, change the curtains, replace her furniture, all to match his brand aesthetic. He'd even tried to convince her to pawn her grandmother's necklace for a collaboration photo shoot. She dumped him after that. For months, she said, she wondered if she'd overreacted. Hearing my story made her realize she hadn't. "He doesn't see pets as family," she said softly, scratching Pumpkin's chin. "He sees them as props. When they stop matching the outfit, he replaces them." We sat there in silence for a while, both watching her cat bat lazily at a sugar packet. It hit me. Then, Mason didn't just curate his online life, he curated people. And the second you stopped fitting the picture, he cropped you out. After that, something in me settled. I stopped checking social media, stopped refreshing my inbox, started walking Buster every morning before work, just the two of us under the pink dawn sky. He's a little clingier now, follows me room to room, sighs if I'm out of sight for too long, but the vet says it's normal after a separation like that. Trauma leaves invisible leashes. We're working through it together. I even splurged on one of those orthopedic dog beds that cost more than my first car payment. He still refuses to sleep in it. Prefers my bed, right next to me, his paw resting against my arm like he's making sure I don't vanish. Fine by me. A few days ago, my mom came over for dinner. She noticed the ring box on the mantel. "You kept it," she said gently. "For now," I told her. I opened the box, letting the sapphire catch the lamplight. It glowed faintly. Not glamorous, not ostentatious, just honest. "I'll give it back to you for safekeeping," I said, "until I meet someone who loves Buster as much as I do." She smiled, that tired, knowing mom smile that says I knew you'd figure it out eventually. "Good," she said, "because love isn't supposed to cost you your peace." That night, I poured a glass of wine, turned off every light except the one over the couch, and sat down beside Buster. His gray muzzle rested on my knee. His ear, the half one, twitched in his sleep. I scrolled through my phone, deleted the last of Mason's messages, and finally blocked his entire family. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was earned. For the first time in years, my home didn't feel staged. The throw pillows were mismatched. The couch had dog hair woven into every fiber, and the air smelled faintly like peanut butter treats and freedom. I looked down at Buster and whispered, "We're okay now." He thumped his tail twice against the couch, once for then, once for now. And for the first time, I realized that peace doesn't always look like revenge. Sometimes it just looks like a crooked-eared dog asleep beside you, and a life that finally belongs to you again.